And we're back. When I turned around, I saw Mayuzumi wrapped in blankets on the top bunk bed, looking at Yomogi with cold eyes. You're awfully nice to her. Yomogi looked up at the ceiling, fed up. Hey now, this isn't the time to say stuff like that. Huh. Little snort, Mayuzumi turned her back to us and lies down. Jealous. Mayuzumi didn't try to hold back even after Yomogi's joke. Try to talk back, sorry. Talk back. There are no more tea bags. Sorry, it's so watered down. Yomogi had made some chamomile tea. Since he had thrown a tea bag in the cup, it was a bit weak. But there was no substitute for that warmth. Just as I had gotten comfortable, Uni asked me a question. Hey, what were you doing anyway? I was worried. Yeah, really. Don't go out like that without saying even a word to us. I'm sorry, it wasn't me. Satoru was the one who went out. Yukito-kun. As if he wanted to apologize, Yomogi scratched his head. Then he heaved a sigh as if giving up. Well then, I'll tell him next time I meet him. Please. Somehow it came out like an apology to him. Because of the personality exchange of a big burden to everyone here in the shelter cabin, Mayuzumi's inactivity is especially remarkable. She'd been staying curled in bed as if exhausted for some time now, but whenever Satoru's name comes up, she glares at whoever said it with a mix of rage and sorrow. I don't know what their relationship is, but I don't think it's wrong to say that it's really making her really upset. Anyway, I can't do too much about it. When I sat down at the stove, Yomogi was trying to get the satellite phone to work. He's cleaning the possibility that it will completely by chance connect. No good. Won't go through, huh? Nodding, Yomogi turned the phone off. If only the phone would connect. If I remember correctly, according to the newspaper, the probability of getting through is around 1,000,000 to 1. Even if we kept making a phone call every 1 second for 24 hours, a good connection would only occur about every 11.5 days. Really, I guess it's impossible. A feeling restored, I moved the stove to the bed. What was Satoru doing outside? I thought he might have left a note. So I got the voice recorder and switched it on. There were messages on it. Data 1 and 2. First I played back Data 1. This is Satoru. First, the least important point. I intend to listen to your requests as much as possible. Since we're partners, I think mutual trust is important. But however, even though I keep a wristwatch on, I just can't accept it. Looked at my right arm. My watch wasn't there. What the hell? It wasn't in my pocket either. Again? Enough! Why? You could just take it off! Having something in your arm just irritates me for some reason. By the way, it's the same with bracelets and the like. What do you mean, by the way? In the first place, I have a problem with the custom of wearing wristwatches itself. Shouldn't a gentleman carry a pocket watch? Well, I don't really like their design, and they don't keep time that well, so I reluctantly carry around a wristwatch, but... Don't you think the spirit of a gentleman is something that should be cherished? I don't. Anyway, the theory is weird no matter how you look at it. More like watch sell. Satoru is the type who's unsatisfied if he doesn't rationalize anything and everything. And he's the kind of person I just don't get along with. Even if we're to be sued by the Wristwatch Society, these feelings would never change. In conclusion, request to keep wristwatch on, denied. Data 1 ended there. What a weird quirk. I like it. For playing Data 2, I decided to look up for my watch. It's not in my pocket. It's not on the bunk bed either. Not on the bed either. Not on the table either. It wasn't around the neck of the teddy bear either. Damn it! Where'd you put it? My favorite watch too. If you lost it, I'll make you regret it. I'll make you regret it for the rest of your life. Paced nervously in the cabin like that. Huh? What's the matter? Mogi asked, completely puzzled. It's gone. Gone. There isn't. It's gone, gone, gone. It's not here, or there, or even over in the other place. Oh, stupid Satoru. You lost it! How can you take responsibility? Wow, she's had a rough time of it, not gonna be wrong, and she did just have like an emotional breakdown before transferring, so this is kind of understandable. Fuyakawa-san? The thing you lost, is it your watch? Eh? Yomogi-san, you know where it is? Yeah. Where is it? Came right up to Yomogi and grabbed him by the collar and shook him. Calm down! Please calm down, I can't talk while you're doing that! Panicking, I let go of Yomogi's neck. I'm sorry. No, it's okay. So where's my watch now? Maybe. While talking, Yomogi reached his hand in his pocket. This is it? Oh, my watch! What he took out was none other than my beloved wristwatch. Why did you have it, Yomogi-san? I asked as I took the watch. I know you'd expect me to, but I don't actually know. At any rate, you... Oh, you were Yukido-kun at the time, right? Yukido-kun asked me to hold on to it. Look, even I don't know. He just came to me and said I entrust this to you, so don't ask any questions. Wouldn't it be faster just to ask him? No, it's fine, I get the idea. No, is that so? Okay then. As I put the watch back on, I went over to the bed. It's like Satoru wants to make sure I don't have the watch on. Like he's stubbornly trying to get rid of it. Hiding places are gradually getting more elaborate. That's why he handed it over to Yomogi. He thought I wouldn't find it. Damn it! If it's going to be that way, I'll get stubborn too. Just as stubbornly, I keep putting the watch back on. Whenever you hide it, I'm going to find it. Having forged a decision, I sat on the bed. Now then. I retrieved the voice recorder, and I played Data 2. What kind of message will be next? Let's get to the main point. Continuing from last time. About the question, what year is it? Remember when I said the previous message, right? World Year End is 1 year later, year 2012? So he said. That was Satoru's misunderstanding. However, that wasn't the most accurate way to put it. That time I'd lost my head, I'd forgot. The place where Kokoro can listen to voice recorders was restricted to just the shelter cabin. I didn't realize the simple truth. I don't understand. What is Satoru trying to say? That time, by the world where Kokoro is, I didn't mean the shelter cabin. It's the world where Kokoro is from the viewpoint of me, who is here now. Me, in short, Sphia. So mortal battle is waged. Watch versus not. Do you get it? What do you mean? I listened carefully to the recorder. Without beating around the bush, it's like this. In the world of Sphia, it's 2012. In the world of Shelter Cabin, it's 2011. Our consciousness are jumping not only through space, but also through time. What we're trapped in isn't a mere personality exchange phenomenon. Along with the personality exchange, there's also a time jump. Extremely unique transfer phenomenon. What does this mean? It's not just a personality exchange, but also a time jump? Personality exchange on its own is hard enough to believe, though I've already realized I have no choice to believe it. And not only that, the time slip is taking place? Come on. Really, come on now. I say this, but I guess you probably won't believe me. How should I explain it? At any rate, this is the truth. It's 2012 in Sphia and 2011 in the shelter cabin. Kokoro and I keep shifting back and forth between two different bodies, places, and times. How can you... Say this with such certainty, I'm trying to say. Just now you might be thinking, how can you say this with such certainty? The answer is simple. Because I live in the year 2012. That is to say, to you, I'm a person from the future. That's why I even know the shelter cabin being in 2011. Crash of Flight 18 for me happened last year. You still can't believe it? Can't be helped. Well then, I'll tell you about Uni. In the messages feed yesterday you wrote this, right? Because if it isn't so, I can't explain how Uni could exist in two people at the same time. At the same time, that's what you wrote. But you know they aren't really the same. One Uni is from year 2011, and the other one's Uni from year 2012. Even if this very same person exists at different points in the time axis, it's not particularly mysterious, don't you think? Or rather, isn't it natural? Both are in the future and the past, Uni being there is normal. Ah, I see. Suddenly started believing what Satoru had told me. I called it! Because if it's true, then lots of things start to make sense. Uni, what Utsumi said. Wait, but... Satoru's message continues. I laid aside my thoughts for the time being, carefully listened to his words. But you know, for now it won't be so straightforward. He paused for a while. He didn't resume speaking. Did something happen? Sorry, Kokoro. The voice I heard last was for some reason a very subdued one. What's wrong, Satoru? How should I put it? No, I'll tell you later. For now, that's it. Wait a second! You're still in the middle of your explanation! Don't stop in a random place like that! I complained in the voice recorder. Of course I know it's meaningless. Wait! I was about to forget something important. Something important? Okay, Kokoro? As Sphia from now on, don't eat any of the food. Huh? This is not a request. This isn't the best way to say it, but it's an order. I'll explain the details next time. And if you take a single bite of anything, consider your life over. I'm counting on you. Hiding information! The game! Yeah, seriously. There's a lot of things that could be solved from asking the right people the right questions, and the right questions aren't terribly, obscure either. Does he suspect he's going to be poisoned? And there the message ended. I turned off the recorder. Again! Cloud rendered Photoshop background. I lean against the wall. were coming and going back and forth between the years 2011 and 2012. That was the blind spot. The double existence of Uni was a big mystery. They weren't twins, and furthermore, they had the same memory. I couldn't imagine anything that we were transferring at the same time. If you consider time slip, the problem is settled. After all, the two Unis were respectively the Uni of the past and Uni of the future. I admired the smart solution. Mount Akakura is in 2011, Sphia is in 2012. According to Satoru, I think in the years 2011 I'm in a shelter cabin, and Satoru insists 2012 is in Sphia. I nodded in agreement, but something wasn't right. The same unease I felt earlier. What? Isn't there something wrong with it? As I thought this, it hit me. The newspaper. The date of the newspaper was July 4th, 2011. It is, in a time the shelter cabin is 2012, there would be no contradiction in the newspaper being there. However, if we say the date of the shelter cabin is January 13th, 2011, it's strange. A newspaper from the future lying around here. And moreover, the radio. Radio I heard in Sphia said the year was 2011. Why? No way, the shelter cabin is in 2012 and Sphia is in 2011. If I believe that, it solves the problem of newspaper and radio. But if that's the case, it brings up other contradictions. Outside the shelter cabin is a fresh crash site. 2012, the crash site could also exist. To avoid that contradiction, what if the airplane we boarded somehow jumped to 2012 during the flight and then crashed on Mount Akakura? Then, if I, in the shelter cabin of 2012, and Satoru in Sphia of 2011 began the personality exchange, for this reason, the contradiction of radio I heard in the Sphia reporting it in 2011, and there being a fresh crash site in Mount Akakura in 2012 were resolved. But then the explanation newspaper doesn't fit. The place crashed in Mount Akakura in 2012, the article dated for July 4th, 2011 could possibly have been published. Besides, the explanation works if I'm thinking it's 2011, but doesn't work if Satoru is thinking it's 2012. That isn't right either. As I thought about another possibility, I suddenly realized it. If by chance my transfers, the situation at the shelter cabin in Sphia are all taking place in the year 2011, is Satoru's transfers taking place in the year 2012? If that's so, the account of how I feel this is 2011 but Satoru thinks it's 2012. But like this is no good, absolutely no good. I'm glad she's puzzling this out. But give me a sec. Sorry about that, I had to take a swig of water. My throat's really doesn't like this. Whew. If I don't exchange personalities with Satoru of 2012, we wouldn't get in dispute over the problem of what year it is. Besides, if it turns out I'm going back and forth in 2011, the contradiction of two unis comes up again. I brooded over it. I thought there being a gap between dates was a good idea, but in practice it doesn't seem so simple. It feels like solving a puzzle. I'm hopeless at puzzles. Even a small one is agony and makes me want to give up. Even for university research, I like keeping careful observations, and when the time comes to write up a paper and lay it out in reasoning, I end up writing in agony. When I read detective novels, I leave everything in Tales Investigator and don't reason or anything. But now there's no detective that will solve the puzzle for me. This is happening to me right now. If I don't work hard and think... Come to think of it, I recalled Satoru's last words. As Sphia, from now on, don't eat any of the food. Anyhow, if you take a single bite of anything, consider your life over. My life? Then in other words means that it looks like there's a possibility it'll be served poison? I inputted that in the corner of my memory. Still leaning against the wall, my thoughts kept going around in circles. And then body swap! New life. Suddenly found myself laying face up in bed. Another transfer. Happening a lot more frequently today. If the transfers continue to go on like this, I might really go crazy. I thought self-derisively. My throat was dry, so I instantly left the room to get a drink. In the kitchen, I found Uni peeking inside the fridge. Ah, Satoru! Rushing over, he pulls on my arm. I'm so hungry! You mention it, I am, or rather Satoru's body is hungry too. I looked into the interior of the living area. Okay, immediately, obviously, you better not eat anything. Vittoria was just standing there absent-mindedly. For some reason, she was looking around the area restlessly. Was she looking for something? Utsumi was nowhere to be seen. Pouring some water in a cup, I downed it in one gulp. Where is Utsumi-san? She went outside. Eh? From the large window in the living area, I could only see the darkness and pitch black of night. What's she doing out in this hour? Did she tell you anything? Nope, not a word. Yuni's lips curved in a pout. She just went out there, all smiles and laughter. Hey, isn't the food ready yet? Just wait a sec, I'll go look for Utsumi-san. Asumi's a good person, but it's not as if I completely trust her. Someone's after Satoru's life. Because we don't know anything more than that about the culprit, everyone is under suspicion. I couldn't ignore any unusual behavior. That's it! I think for some reason... Okay, so I've got this random theory. It's based on my old theories being correct. That Uni of the past and Uni of the future are switching personalities. For some reason, Uni of the past is not terribly put out by this, but is still not aware of the plans of Uni of the future, I think. Uni of the future, however, I think wants to stop the personality transfer. Probably to end up saving Kokoro somehow. That said, I think he wants to kill Satoru. I think it's future Uni trying to kill Satoru. In which case, this is probably future Uni. Trying to be aggressive about eating. Suspicious! Anyway, couldn't ignore any unusual behavior. I returned to my room and put on my coat and went outside. The weather out there was freezing cold. So to go out in the midst of such a cold is really quite suspicious. Utsumi-san! I tried calling out. There was no answer. I hesitated, wondering whether I should go on searching for her. What if Utsumi was actually the culprit? My surroundings were engulfed in darkness. It'd be quite easy for her to catch me off guard. I didn't really want to consider that, though. What should I do? Let's go looking for her. Even if that happens, I can't just leave Utsumi alone. She may have gone for a walk and ended up losing her way. Am I too soft-hearted? Thinking that I started walking deeper in the darkness. By a stroke of fortune, I found Utsumi right away. You step out of the institution's entrance and head left, you'll come to a hill. I say hill, but it's really more of a modest mound, about 5 meters in height. Utsumi was standing at its peak. Ooh. It was a magical scene. Both her arms extended towards the night sky, as if Utsumi were a goddess bathed in moonlight. If her body started floating away right now, flying up in the sky like that, I wouldn't be too surprised. Unintentionally swallowing, I hesitantly called out. And then, possibly because she noticed my footsteps, Utsumi turned her head. Oh my! I somehow felt a little awkward. What were you doing? Utsumi answered with an extremely cheerful smile. Tomorrow's my son's birthday. Eh? So Utsumi had a child. But I hadn't seen anyone like that at Sphia. Can't be that Uni is Utsumi's child or something ridiculous like that. Is that so? Congratulations. Thank you. What's his name? It's Junichi. Utsumi took out a photo from her breast pocket. It seemed like she was going to show me. I struggled a bit to climb the hill, and standing by Utsumi's side, I took a peek at her photograph. Ha! Adorable! The picture was a boy who looked slightly mischievous. Was his age around the same as Uni's? Looking at the camera, his entire face was lit by a smile, and he was making a V sign. He's really naughty. Quite a handful. Utsumi's face, as she said that, was full of affection. It's the face of a mother. But ever since he got a sibling, he finally started acting a little more like an older brother. Saying that, she showed me a different picture. Aww! Picture of a baby. Probably taken a few months after birth. Oh, how cute! Right? Appearing truly happy, Utsumi gazed at the photograph. Aww, tell Big Brother congratulations, okay? She spoke to the photograph using baby talk. She looked somehow pitiful. I finally knew what Utsumi had come here for. This is Sphia, the specified psychiatric hospital for isolation and ages. Why was Utsumi here? Why weren't her children with her? I think I could more or less figure it out now. That's why Utsumi was now praying for her children living somewhere far away. For somewhere even just a little bit higher. From a place a little closer to the sky. Praying with all her heart for her children living underneath the same sky. Makes me want to pray too. That's what I thought. For them to be able to once again live together as mother and child, if even for a second earlier. Afterward, when I called Utsumi to return with me to the institution, she answered just a little bit longer and stayed. That's why I returned to the institution alone. That day at dinner time, I didn't eat! I declined it. Guess Sitaru told me to. Sophia, from now on, don't eat any of the food. There might be poison in it. Till Sitaru thinks it's safe to do so, I'll have to bear with it. I told him I don't have much of an appetite right now and immediately returned to my room. All the stress must have been getting to me. Threw myself on the warm, welcoming bed, and before I knew it, I began to doze off. Lost consciousness. Body swap. And body swap. Damn. Okay. January 14th, the 4th day. Emotional trauma. Crucified. I was awakened by a faint noise. Here's the sound of firewood burning up. Okay, so we did go through a body swap. I opened my eyes. New fuel had been put on the stove. Like a tongue savoring the feast, an orange blaze dances in the mouth of the stove. This is the shelter cabin. Seems it came back before I realized it. I roused myself. From the windows, the dazzling morning light was shining in. Morning, huh? The hands of my beloved watch were pointing it to 7 a.m. Mayuzumi seemed to still be asleep. I had to hear her quiet breathing. Wait, Sitaru managed not to take off the watch? Uni is sound asleep too. Can't eat anymore. He was saying the sorts of predictable things in his sleep. Tobelin, you ate my food, didn't you? Don't call me Tobelin, you damn kid. They're quarreling in their sleep. With a wry smile, I got out of bed. They're sleeping well. So then, what are those noises I heard before? I casually noticed that Yomogi's bed was empty. I tried touching the blankets. Cold. Where'd he go so early in the morning? Anxious, I peered out the window. I could see his figure in front of the cabin. Putting on a coat, I too went outside. Yomogi was standing still, bathing in the morning sun. He was doing nothing, just motionlessly staring at the distance, with sorrow in his eyes. I hesitated to speak. I wonder how much time passed. Yomogi abruptly started talking. It's in that direction. He was holding the compass Uni had been carrying. What? My son's resting place. Today, it's the anniversary of his death. Yomogi? One of those kids looked a lot like Yomogi. Uh-oh. Hold on. We don't have, like, a character bio or something? Because I don't remember what Yomogi's last name is, and I don't remember what Utsumi's last name is. Though that wouldn't solve anything, because she might be using her maiden name while at Sphia. But yeah, if you didn't figure it out, I think Yomogi and Utsumi are married or were married. Wait. Yeah, no. Her little scene of the birthday for her kid could easily have been after they're dead. Both of them, even. I really hope I'm wrong on this. In a calm and very composed tone, Yomogi continued. I got on that plane because I wanted to go visit his grave. But in the end, I couldn't go. I sure did a bad thing. Yomogi suddenly smiled wryly, a lonely smile. It is Junichi! Shit! Junichi was like me. He was stubborn. He was a lot of trouble when he got mad. Junichi? That name, where have I couldn't make it. I'm sorry, Junichi. He clapped his hands together toward the direction of the place he had said his son was resting. Standing next to him, I too clasped my hands, closed my eyes, and prayed for the happiness of Yomogi's son in the next world. Slowly opened my eyes. Yomogi lightly lowered his head. Thank you, Fuyakawa-san. Thank you for praying for my son. No. At that moment, from inside the shelter, we heard Uni talking in his sleep. Yomogi's face was lit by a fatherly smile. If my son were still alive, he'd be around Uni's age. Is that so? I thought I shouldn't be indiscreet, but I ended up asking instinctively. Your son, how? Yeah, I guess I might as well tell you about it. Well, you took out a cigarette and lit it with the usual lighter. The smell of lighter fuel tickled my nose. While gazing towards the direction where his sun rests, he started talking. Shinichi's birthday was near. I decided to buy him that new bicycle he wanted. Shinichi was so glad. Thank you, Dad. He repeated that in gratitude so many times. Yamogi exhaled cigarette smoke. I didn't think you'd be so happy. White smoke shone in the morning sun. I didn't know if it was because his reflexes were especially good, but of all neighborhood kids, he was the first to get his training wheels off. Just a little practice, he's able to ride a bike. This is still a story from when he was in kindergarten, I think. Sensing the sadness in his proud voice, I nodded. That's amazing. Yeah, I was sure that child would become an even greater mountaineer than me. Ever since then, Junichi got crazy about bicycles. Made him so happy being the first of his friends to take off the training wheels. That's why on his birthday I got him a new bike. A mountain bike with all the gears. I bought it for him. But the bike was no good. Never should have bought him such a thing. Closing his eyes, he slowly shook his head. Regret filled his face. Junichi, in high spirits, over his new bike, had a fall. No way! That was the accident that... No, simply a bone fracture of the leg. Since it was possible that he did his head, he was hospitalized just in case. He was supposed to come back the next day full of energy. Yamogi... Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that's... He got... His son was killed by Keiko. Oh no. Oh man. But Utsumi is there! Right next to her! This entire time, and she knows it! Jesus! Oh, I know where all this is going. Alright. Let's think of this in the most tragic way possible, shall we? Utsumi was probably a psychiatrist or a psychologist of some description, probably working at Sphia. Keiko gets sent there. Yamogi, being absolutely, probably completely in sorrow and pain and anguish and all that, probably couldn't stand the thought of Utsumi working and trying to help Keiko. So they split up. That's where I think this is going. But then something happened at Sphia and, like, everything went to hell, so I don't know. Sphia is still one big mystery. He opened his eyes and looked at me. To me, it seemed like he was holding down his anger by force. Yeah. He was supposed to come back. But Junichi, there. Eh? Yamogi averts his eyes, and he uttered only this. He was killed. In the hospital. Killed? Yeah. And then from his mouth came the name I knew so well. By a girl called Inabushi Keiko. My breath caught in my throat. Killed by Inabushi Keiko? The son of Yamogi, Junichi-kun, in Iwazumi Municipal Hospital by Inabushi Keiko. Or it could have been Professor Green with the knife in the study. I tried to recall the file. Certainly among the victims there was an elementary school kid who had been around Uni's age if alive. That was... An icy wind suddenly blew across the snowfield. Did I trouble because of that wind, or because of the truth I just heard? No, that's not it. I killed him. Indirectly. If only I hadn't bought him that gift. He threw away his cigarette, crushing it in vexation. Not only that, he was afraid of being hospitalized alone. This was just for one day, if only I had stayed with him. If only. If only. Then you probably both would have died, because you would not have expected to need to protect yourself against a teenage girl with a knife. Chill. Dude, wasn't your fault. Obviously. Not that saying that would help or matter. Yamogi tramped on a cigarette many, many times. Venting the anger he couldn't suppress many, many times. In the end, it seems the waves of emotions overwhelmed him. His features began to change. This wasn't the Yomogi of just a little while ago, but surely the personified rage and despair of a parent who had killed his son. I was troubled over what I could say. In the end, all I could say were trite words, though I knew no kind words would come for him. Yomogi-san, it's not your fault. Was Yomogi ashamed that I had seen him angry? He stopped and a fleeting smile crossed his face. Sorry. Then Yomogi muttered as if speaking to himself. Because of this, things with Kali turned bad too. Kali? It is! That's her last name! I forgot. Or not her last name, I think Itsumi's her last name. The fact that it's common in Japanese culture to refer to people by their last name always confuses me. No, she's my wife. She was such a doting mother. She was unable to come to terms with the death of her beloved son. Broke her heart. Since I too kept blaming myself, things between us just became awkward. She was so heartsick that she had to be hospitalized. Okay, so she wasn't a she wasn't one of the psychologists there, she was a patient. That actually is more consistent with what I expected. But still, I wanted to go with her to the grave today, so I was going to go visit her at the hospital. But this is how it turned out. Sneering, Yomogi looked around at the scenery, as though it were a situation he had found himself in surrounding him. At the scenery of the shelter cabin shut away in the snow. Life doesn't always go your way. Named Kali, in the hospital for mental illnesses, made me feel uneasy. Though I hesitated at first, I asked him, by any chance is your wife's surname Utsumi-san? Yomogi opened his eyes in surprise. Yeah, that's exactly it. But how did you? I see. Was it written in that file? Yomogi nodded, agreeing with himself. The truth is, I came across her in Sphia. Let's not go into that. I hesitated to burden Yomogi, who was still grieving for her son, with the story of the strange phenomenon. Her surname is different. Yeah. When we first got married, Kali took the name Yomogi. But, you know, in 2008, the dual surname system was approved, right? Yes, it was. I faintly recalled the talk I had with Uni about the dual surnames. Kali was a self-reliant woman, both economically and emotionally. That's why at the time I decided to, instead of forcing her to call herself Yomogi, I'll let her choose the surname she wanted. And she chose to return to her original family name of Utsumi. She's of mixed race. She was attached to the Japanese name of Utsumi. Yomogi slapped his face with both hands. Now then. Saying that, Yomogi sighed, picked up a handful of snow, and used it to wash his face, scrubbing at it over and over again. Our supplies are scarce. We'll most likely run out of firewood and rations before long. We'll have to talk about what we're going to do now, too. No time to be down in the dumps. Yomogi-san. Let's go back to the cabin. We'll get cold. Yomogi pushed at my back and entered the cabin. Its expression had gone back to normal, like it was already nothing. But still I caught sight of them. Small tears suspended in Yomogi's eyes. The feeling you believe in. Returning to the cabin, Yomogi first took out the satellite phone and dialed somewhere. Most likely wanted to try it one more time in hopes of my slight chance it would work. No good? Muttering in annoyance, Yomogi lowered the phone. It didn't connect as expected. Now that it come to this, there's no other choice. Yomogi looked over his surroundings. Get everyone together for me. There's something important we need to talk about. He said it with a serious face. And? Mayuzumi, wrapped in a blanket in front of the stove as usual, said in a disappointed voice. So in conclusion, what are you trying to say? It's just as I explained it. From now on, we're going to be rationing as much as possible. As our supplies became limited, Yomogi started discussing what we should do from this point on. Uni, still half asleep, was looking at us drowsily, and Mayuzumi was being defiant as always. Even so, Yomogi patiently continued his explanation. According to him, the current situation required us to be quite stringent. All the firewood had already been split, and it was doubtful that it would last until nightfall. And if we continued to keep the lantern turned on all day, as we had before, it would run out of fuel by tomorrow. Our remaining food supply was more serious. We're already reached the bottom of our freeze-dried food, and all that was left was literally emergency rations. Specifically, there were only 2 cans of hardtack and 1 bar of chocolate remaining. That was it. From there, Yomogi proposing ways we could start rationing our remaining supplies. I became anxious. But Yomogi's suggestion is probably right, but it's still this cold even when we're using the stove. If we turned it off, just what kind of cold will we have to bear? Moreover, we have a physically weak child in this cabin. In other words, you're telling us to die. Mayuzumi made a cynical remark. So that we can ration it, you want us to leave our remaining food and fuel here unused while we freeze to death. Mayuzumi, please understand. There's no way I could. I might be rescued tomorrow for all we know. Or we might not be rescued after a week. Almost nothing but hardtack. Yeah, well, I mean, you got what you got. As Mayuzumi swallowed her words in irritation, Yomogi talked to her in a calm tone. I thought the rescue team would arrive here faster, too. That's why we've been keeping our rationing to a minimum until now. It was a plane crash, after all. After communications were severed, they would have organized and carried out a large-scale search and rescue mission. Even so, the rescue team hasn't come yet. It's possible some obstruction occurred, and the rescue team isn't able to find us. What do you mean, obstruction? That I don't know. But in any case, we should start preparing for the worst. In this situation, the worst would be rescue team's arrival has been delayed even further. We should do what we have to wait for the 4 people to survive as long as possible. That's what I'm trying to say. Mayuzumi had no rebuttal for that. Clicking her tongue softly, she fell silent. It's useless, Uni suddenly mumbled. Uh-oh. I don't like it. Eh? We're all gonna die, muttered disinterestedly, as if he were some transcendent being. Again, Uni's talking strangely. Goosebumps suddenly formed on my arms. It really felt there was something strange in Uni's behavior. 3 days from now, on January 17th. Hey, Uni, why do you say that? Couldn't help but ask. Then Uni smiled unpleasantly. Because it was written in the newspaper. He was talking about the fake newspaper dated June 4th. What? That's what you meant. Mugi smiled bitterly and then let out a laugh mingled with a sigh. On the other hand, Mayuzumi's eyebrow twitched. I don't have time to go along with some brat's stupid joke. I'm not joking. It was written in the newspaper, right? Yeah, good children should stay quiet. Whatever. Uni's lips formed a pout and he turned away in sudden displeasure. Mugi cleared his throat once in order to change the atmosphere. Well, returning to subject at hand. In regards to the food supply in particular, it'd be bad if there was any trouble over it. I'm thinking I should manage it. I'll ration and distribute the remaining food, keeping our individual physical conditions in mind. On hearing that, a scoff escaped Mayuzumi's lips and she sneered at Yomogi. Oh, I see, so that's it. What? You're planning on monopolizing yourself, aren't you? Huh? Don't play dumb. After you become the manager, you're planning on secretly eating it by yourself, aren't you? Without passing any out to us. And of course you'd say I want to manage it. I want to manage it too. The message underlying the tone was clear, don't screw with me. Why did you arrive at that conclusion? As expected, Yomogi returned her glare. It was a sharp look. I would have never imagined coming from normally light-hearted Yomogi. Mayuzumi was pushed back by the intensity as well. What? I've already been through everything. Don't be so proud of putting yourself in charge. I'm the leader here. I'll have you follow me too. Don't you decide that for yourself? When and by whom was that decided? The one who put the most mountaineering experience is me. I'm also the strongest. What are the reasons you need? No way in hell. I won't let you have everything your way. Mayuzumi really had the vigor to counter Yomogi at any given time. I couldn't do anything but watch over them nervously. That's what I thought, and all of a sudden... You think so too, right? Mayuzumi touched on the matter in a different way. Huh? Don't say huh! God, that cute little lady act! Are you gonna just let this guy do whatever he wants? Yomogi looked at me. As if intending to decide who was in the right by majority rule, they waited for me to speak. Of course Yomogi is right! Mayuzumi had no good points in her argument. They were all bad! But I think Yomogi is right. If we want to be safe, we should do what Yomogi says. A snort of discontent came from Mayuzumi's nose. What in the hell? You trying to say you should make nice with this guy? And I thought so before, but you and he are sure close, aren't you? Are you two doing it? Mayazumi-san! Even if you're upset, that was rude! Shut it! Mayazumi didn't intend to listen to my words. Two of you are always scheming together. What are you planning? It's no good. Being driven in a corner of such a dire situation, Mayazumi had begun seeing suspicious goings-on everywhere. She won't believe anyone now. Like this, whatever we say will be useless. Mayazumi, calm down. If you continue with that attitude of yours, I'll have to use appropriate measures to stop you. Mayazumi gulped and began to tremble. Turning blue, she took a step back. What do you mean? Would it kill me? Damn it. I was worried about this. I was kind of worried that if we pushed Mayazumi too much, she would kind of break. She already seemed kind of paranoid as it is. I don't like it. I really don't. I think I might have screwed it up. I didn't give her the benefit of the doubt, like, ever. Crap. With a disturbingly unusual atmosphere for him, Yomogi took a single step towards Mayazumi. An alarm went off inside my heart. There's no way he could, I thought, but... Yomogi, what are you... I said it before, too. On a snowy mountain, if even a single person acts selfishly, they'll lead the entire team to their deaths. If you keep on acting like such an idiot to protect the team, I'll throw you away without a second thought. Is that a threat? It's not a threat. It's a rule. Quietly, from the feeling of forcible oppression hanging in the air, I felt the vaguest sense of something terrible in Yomogi. Also, there's this. I don't like where this is going for Yomogi. Damn it. If he was seriously planning on executing the rule he just mentioned, I won't be able to oppose him either. Because there was nothing in the that would keep him from enforcing his rule against Mayazumi. Cut the crap! Without noticing my anxiety at all, Mayazumi exploded. You're the most dangerous one here, aren't you? Face flushing crimson, she clings on the same argument recklessly. Her thin hand struck Yomogi's broad chest. The moment Yomogi staggers, a cup on the table falls with loud noise. The chilled coffee in it is thrown on the floor. Stop it! No fighting! This is bad. Like this, things between us will only get more and more awkward. Even though the team's harmony is essential for our survival. I don't think just yelling stop it is going to help anything. But if I stop her physically, I'm worried I'm going to push her more. There isn't a de-escalate the situation option, which there needs to be. Neither of these de-escalate it. Let's try physically. Seeing Mayazumi trying to grab hold of Yomogi, I made a move. Please stop it! Shut up! Move it! Mayazumi tried to violently shake off my extended hand. Even so, I stepped between Yomogi and Mayazumi undiscouraged. Her agitation unabated. Mayazumi didn't try to stop me from rushing in. Finally, she began pulling my hair. Tears started to form from the pain. I said move! No! I cleaned to Mayazumi. It was frantic. What's up with you? Let go! Trying to calm Mayazumi took terrible effort. Times like this, I wish I was in Satoru's body, I thought. Mayazumi... What? In a flash, Yomogi's hand moved and slapped Mayazumi across the cheek. Mayazumi's movements came to a stop. Quietly, I took a peek at Mayazumi's facial expression. Pressing a hand to a reddened cheek, Mayazumi stood there dumbfounded. I'm sorry. While staring at the hand that slapped her with, Yomogi apologized. He continues in a strong tone. But please, stop being so foolish and selfish at times like this. Our lives are at risk. Frustrated, she bit her lip and turned her face away. Just like that, she quietly walked toward the bed and wrapped herself up, her back to us. Shit! Mizumi's shoulders trembled. Please understand, Mayazumi. I'm saying this with all of you in mind. In the end, the management of the food supply was entrusted to Yomogi. As for me, I didn't really intend to object. Yomogi's an expert at handling snowy mountains, so entrusting this to him would be the best choice. If we follow him, the chances of us surviving would be better. I told myself that. But something is giving me a vague sense of unease. Why is it? I looked over my surroundings. His face grim, Yomogi's stare was fixed in the blazes he had stirred in the flames inside the stove. Minnie was crying, trying to stifle sobs. The teddy bear clutched in his arms, creaked as if crying together with him. And Mayuzumi, with her back to us, had covered herself with a blanket from her head down. The blanket faintly trembled. It was a savage, unbearable atmosphere. It had never been perfect. The situation had been more or less alright until now. It's suddenly gone to hell. In such a state, are we really going to survive and return alive? Please. I close my eyes and pray. Please, somebody hurry and save us. Afterward. Yomogi broke the table with an axe. I was thinking about that, actually. More firewood. Stockpile of firewood in the storeroom would finally run out. The table which we'd placed food on and eaten at several times before was being transformed into firewood. It's kind of sad. I nodded at Uni's words. But there's no other choice if we want to live. Yomogi piled the broken table up in front of the stove. Even if we use the table and all the shelves as firewood. Even if we use the table and all the shelves as firewood, I wonder if it'll last until tomorrow morning. Mayuzumi, who had only ever sat around in bed and gave orders, let out a shrill scream. What do you mean? There are trees growing outside out there. Go and chop them down. As if we could burn greenwood like that. If we tried to burn them, we'd die anyway from all the smoke. Then what are we going to do? There's nothing we can do except rationing you hate so much. After food, it's fuel. Having had enough of quarreling, I was afraid Mayuzumi was about to get angry. However, Mayuzumi didn't complain any further, instead choosing to wrap herself up in the blanket. It was bright outside the window. It was more or less warmer in the night, because the sun was still shining. However, when night falls, the mountain will become hell. Yomogi had said so. You know, I'm not trying to threaten you. Without exaggerating, the snowy mountain is truly a Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper is waiting outside the cabin with scythe in hand, with night coming on. The fire on the verge of burning out, with our physical strength running short. After that, several hours passed. Wait, no swaps? Really? Huh. I would have expected a body swap within those within several hours. Ah, well. Artificial personality exchange. Where are we? Before I knew it, I was kneeling atop the snow. This was Sphia. It was at the wall that surrounded Sphia. Looks like I jumped again. Oh, right. There's that huge wall around it, or something? I seem to remember something like that. I could see Itsumi's back going further away in the distance. She was walking toward the building. What's Satoru doing out here with Itsumi? Cold. Let's return to my room quickly. I stood up and ran to catch up with Itsumi. Itsumi-san, please wait! If you're going back, let's return together! Itsumi suddenly stopped walking and turned around. My heart stopped. There's nothing we called an expression on her face. She looked at me with eyes that appeared as if they were staring at a rock that had rolled down the side of the road. Never seen Itsumi like this before. Just what did Satoru do? What? Are you still going to get in the way? Get in the way? What is she talking about? If that's how you're going to be, I have a few ideas of my own. I wasn't planning on giving you any trouble, but... The voice had a sinister resonance, as if resounding from the bottom of hell itself. What do you mean, get in the way? Please, wait a minute, I don't know what... Something up with Satoru? Like a fight, or... Itsumi narrowed her eyes and stared at me. That tone... Fuyukawa-san? Huh? Yeah, that's right. I see, is that so? Oh, she changed so fast! Oh dear! Now I'm really worried! Itsumi's expression softened. I was a little bit relieved. At the same time, doubts crossed my mind once again. Did something happen with Satoru? Repeated my question from before. No, it's nothing. Nothing happened here at all. Okay. That's way more suspicious than if you would have said yes, but it's not really something to be concerned about. If you said that, I'd be way less suspicious than if you were saying nothing happened. Oh god. I think it's possible she wants to do something to Keiko, and Satoru found out, and he wanted to stop her. I think. Now that we know that she has a connection to Keiko after all. Nothing happened here at all. Come on, let's go back. If we stay here too long, we'll catch colds. Sumi pushed my back and urged me to return to my room. Sumi and I walked shoulder to shoulder. During that time, we didn't speak. For some reason, an awkward atmosphere was flowing between us, as I thought something did happen after all, but I couldn't ask what it was. Somehow I felt it was a very private matter. That's why I tried to change the subject. What is it? Are you married, Itsumi-san? After an almost lonely expression across her face, I was. However, my husband is gone now. It's not too much of an inconvenience. Oh, it's not too much of an inconvenience. That might explain why she was so mad about us quote-unquote pretending to be Kokoro, because that is the same group where her husband died. Yeah. If it's not too much of an inconvenience, can I ask what kind of husband he was? He was an extremely kind person, but a strong one too. He was a mountaineer, but he himself was a man of broad and deep as a mountain. Mountaineer, huh? Because I thought Itsumi and Yomogi were married. If you really are Fuyukawa Kokoro-san, you may have met him already. Yes, Seiichi died in the airplane accident. I have met him. I'm still talking with him even now. I felt I could tell her that. However, that would have only brought her sadness. I tried asking something else. Did you love your husband? No. Whoa! Sumi slowly shook her head. It'd be wrong to say I loved him. I still love him now. Oh, okay. I was about to say. Okay, that went from really, really sad to ridiculously romantic. And sad still. She said it so painfully, but her face once again broke in a warm smile. I'm sorry, talking about such a dark subject. No, I'm the one that was meddling. I'm sorry. Sumi wrapped her arms around my head and hugged me. As if embracing her own child, a strong and gentle embrace. Utsumi's scent was soft and sweet, making me feel dizzy. After letting go of my body, Utsumi's tone became cheerful, as if her mood had improved. That's right, you should let some fresh air circulate in your room. It may be cold, but it would be bad if you didn't ventilate once in a while. Even if the air purifier is functioning correctly, you need new air as well. I understand. I'll do that when I return. Yes. Except you just said you were willing to threaten Satoru. Which means opening the window might be part of some plan to hurt him? Ah! I don't know. Everybody wants to kill me. Is it true? Is everybody trying to kill me? Find out after a break. So get up, stretch, whatever you need to do before we, whatever you need to do, keep watching comfortably. And I will be right back. And we're back. Let's find out who wants to kill us now! We were in front of the entrance before I knew it. Well then. So saying, Utsumi's figure disappeared ahead of the building. At that moment I finally noticed that for some reason Utsumi was barefoot. Frostbitten by the cold snow, her ankle was swelling and had turned a deep red. What? Something was happening somewhere that I didn't know about. I just had that feeling. What? Why would she go out there without any shoes on? Maybe she didn't have a choice. Turned to my room and ventilated it just as Utsumi had said. Through open a window, cold air rushes in the room. Unintentionally, I began to shudder. Confirm the time. 4:06 p.m. About 10 minutes had passed the time the transfer took place until I reached the room, so the current transfer occurred at 3:56 p.m. Sitting on the bed, I heaved a deep sigh. Do coincidences like that really happen? A man with whom I flew in the same plane with, and with whom I experienced the accident, Yomogi Seiji. The woman I met while experiencing a mysterious phenomenon in the personality exchange, Tsumi Kali. Amazingly, the two of them were married. Was this simply a coincidence? No! It is actually a high probability it would happen, since he was going to collect his wife so that they could pray at the grave. And since you were going to the same place, it's very, very not a coincidence that you would arrive on the same plane. I didn't think it was something that could be explained away by chance, rather due to a large force at work. No! There doesn't need to be a large force at work! Coincidences are really common, because the more you know about people, the more coincidences can occur! It felt like something was going to happen, as if someone were plotting something. But who was this someone? Was it God? Incidentally, I've heard of something like this before. The Primordial Age, when there was no life on Earth. There were only soups of amino acids in the ocean, which were the origin of life. Before long, those amino acids began to chain together, and thus life was born. However, even if you try to recreate the conditions of the original oceans in a test tube, it seems as far as the creation of life is concerned, it never goes very well. So the creation of life by the union of drifting amino acids occurred by a coincidence of astronomical possibility. Yes, that's why there isn't too much life that we can find in other planets, because it's really uncommon to happen! The explanation of a scientist who introduced this left people with a strange impression of him. If we assume that God exists, then it may be the one who gave birth to life by assembling those amino acids should be thought of as God. Oh goodness. This sounds like intelligent design. That means I'm gonna talk about religion at some point because I'm gonna be dumb enough to do it. Oh no. Oh no. I will try to restrain myself. Wizards just what happened when you stare at something long enough. Exactly. Exactly. That's my thought on coincidences. The more you stare at something, the more connections you're going to make. The more connections you're going to make, the more coincidences occur. The phenomenon that I'm experiencing right now may have the possibility of occurring as low as the beginning of life itself. Just don't do it, Trilo. Talk to the cute girl again. Which one? The one with DID, who's one of her personality's serial killer? The one who's the mother of one of the killed children who might be potentially wanting to kill me now? Or the one that just got into a fight with me and pulled hair? Which one? They all look like such great candidates! The murderer, yes, of course. Right, the murderer. Yay. However, I can't think of this coincidence being caused by anything other than someone's deliberate actions. There are lots of ways this could have happened. Not only because of the coincidence of Yomogi and Utsumi being married, but because the coincidences keep occurring one after another. The son from Yomogi's marriage, Junichi, was killed 2 years earlier by Inabushi Keiko, and now Inabushi Keiko is right here, in Sphia, living alongside Utsumi. Those coincidences continue would just be too sad, I thought. Utsumi thinks that the girl is Suzukage Hattori, believing that she dedicated herself to taking care of her. What would Utsumi think if she knew she was Inabushi Keiko, the target of her dead son's grudge? She knows it's Keiko! We've confirmed that! 1. 2. It's not that strange that someone who had a child who was the victim of a violent crime would also end up in a psychological care facility where the killer would also end up because of the nature of the crime. It makes perfect sense. It's not a coincidence. Everyone is hella moe. They really are. It's not fair. As if inflating my chest, I let out a deep sigh. If God exists, then I'm being so cruel. And it's an innocently ignorant cruelty, like that of a child who catches insects to pull their legs off, which is still a cruelty. Here I am, praying that Sumi doesn't realize that Susukage Hattori is really Inubushi Keiko. When she does find out, I don't know what will happen, but there's no mistake that it'll be disastrous. By the way, here's what I think. I don't think there's any mistake that Susukage Hattori is really Inubushi Keiko. Hattori was one of the DID personalities that dwelled within Inubushi Keiko. I still think it's not the case! I think Hattori is someone whose personality is being swapped. I think that's been proven by her testimony. She used the metaphor of a dark room, and there were occasions where the other personalities had appeared, so there's no two ways about it. It's just that Inubushi Keiko's case, except for the original personality and Susukage Hattori, I don't know the names of the other personalities. Because her current personality hasn't told me her name, it's difficult to guess. I can only deduce it from her behavior. Moreover, her DID personality changes aren't signaled by any actions or occur abruptly. It's the same for what Uni told me about the instant I returned from Yukido Satoru's body to Fukuyakawa Kokoro's. There's no alteration whatsoever. If we can trust Uni. Which Uni? To confirm a personality change from outward appearances alone is difficult. I don't think I've met any personalities except for the one named Hattori. But in reality, there may have been a period when she was in Inubushi Keiko, where I've already met the personality of the murderous monster that killed Junichi without realizing it. There's even a possibility that the personality of the murderer will go unnoticed until the moment it attacks someone. I looked at the left arm that had been injured by someone and shuddered. It was in that instant. Knock knock. Satoru, do you have a moment? Uni's head popped out from behind the door. He was wearing an amiable smile. Hey Satoru, why'd you open that window? It's cold. Okay, never mind. I had a theory for a second there, but it didn't make any sense. He quickly jumped to the window and shut it with great force. Rubbing his hands together, he shivered slightly. Is something wrong? You need anything? About the radio. Did you find out anything interesting? The smile on Uni's face was replaced with a troubled expression. The tone. Are you Kokoro now? Yep. Well, whatever. If Kokoro's really inside Satoru, it involves you anyway. What do you mean it involves me? Yeah. So Uni moved next to me on the bed, sitting close enough for her shoulders to touch. He showed me the radio. I've been listening to radio for a while now, but it's weird. How so? I was on the airplane that fell 4 days ago. Should be more news on it. I knew it! I knew it! To him, the plane fell 4 days ago! In fact, he's the... Yes! Haha! My theory is coming true! Are they not broadcasting anything about it? Uni switched the radio on, twisted the tuning knob. Because we're not getting news from then, we're getting news from shortly after the New Year's, which means it is, even the radio is back in time somehow. Probably because of those stupid solar things. Yes, haha. I love it when a good old theory comes together. The song started to flow from the radio. It was a popular singer's hit song from Red and White Song Contest at the end of last year, 2010. I've been listening for over an hour. It's been nothing but stuff like this. It's already flipped through a couple stations and they're more or less the same. Plane crash is a huge incident, so there should be more broadcasts about it. Radio personality exchange theory. Yeah. Let's not go that far, but something like it. That is weird, right? An airplane accident is a big deal. You think they would broadcast more about it in the news? I'm gonna slam my head into the desk because Kokoro is too stupid to realize that he said 4 days ago. That's important. Really important. Radio's exchanging with Uchi's telephone. And of course, 4 days have passed since the accident occurred. It's an event that's likely to be all over the news. They shouldn't have had a single survivor yet, obviously because we're still in the shelter cabin. However, the news has yet to even touch upon it, so what does that mean? Annoyed, Uni shut off the radio. Bit my lip lightly. The TV is no good either. Is there no news on this plane crash? There's a television in the living area. No, it doesn't show anything besides weird pictures. Like a flowing river, or birds singing in the forest. Or stuff like a weird Buddhist priest saying stuff about being grateful. Oh, okay. I thought my phone was ringing. It's just sirens. What's up with that? That's not useful at all. Now he mentions it, I feel like it was the same when I tried it yesterday. I don't know what was going on. It suddenly dawned on me. This was Sphia. Finally! The specified psychiatric hospital for isolation ages. They probably don't show regular broadcasting it. No. You were supposed to make the connection about him saying 4 days ago. You were supposed to make the connection. I am. You can't see it right now because I don't have a camera, but I am strangling Kokoro in front of me right now. If I had a Kokoro's neck, I would be strangling it because she frustrates me sometimes. Probably didn't show regular broadcasting in order to prevent mentally ill patients from becoming overstimulated. They show environmental broadcasting in order for them to not feel confined even when shut in the snow or winter. Seems reasonable. Would being preached to by a priest be an unruly patient any good? That part is a little weird. Uni impatiently stared at the radio. Even though I want to know what happened to Kokoro. The Kokoro he mentioned didn't refer to me. He was probably worried about the well-being of the Fuyukawa Kokoro trapped in the shelter cabin. I just tried asking Uni once again. You remember the plane crash, right, Uni? Yeah, even I wanted to forget it, I couldn't. Why did the accident happen? What year, what month? When did the accident happen? What year, what month, what day? Wearing a slightly unpleasant expression, sorry, Uni answered my question. Year 2011, January the 11th. You're supposed to be Kokoro, right? Don't ask such obvious things. He stood up angrily. I don't know if it's an illness or whatever you have, but I'm really worried about Kokoro. Don't try to confuse me. Spitting out the words like a piece of gum that lost its flavor, Uni tried to turn his heel and walked away. Uni! He left the room, but not responding to my call. Uni. He was really worried about me. That much was certain. Uni that was just here was, without a doubt, the same one that rode beside me on the airplane. And the one that was beside me when I crashed. I didn't forget either. I'm certain I was grasping Uni's head inside the airplane when it crashed. Even now, I can still clearly remember the feeling of his small hand trembling in mine. Uni from before and I both experienced a plane crash together on January 11th, 2011. So what does this mean? Poor Sphia Uni, he really misses his waifu. Yeah! Did the Uni from before, the Uni at Sphia, jump here right after the accident? If so, who's the Uni presently at the shelter cabin? Yes! Okay! She is making the connections! After thinking it over for a while, I reached a single hypothesis. Uni is undergoing personality exchanges after all. On the second day, even though I talked about what foods I liked at Sphia, Uni, his shelter cabin knew them. For that I deduced Uni was undergoing personality exchanges as well, or maybe teleportation. No! That one, he's well aware of what happened in the past, but he's what for this past self. However, at the time I didn't know there were time periods between Sphia and the shelter cabin were It doesn't have to be personality exchange. It could be complete teleportation though, because if he's only changing himself over, only swapping places with himself, it doesn't have to be just the personality. It can be everything else too. And it only needs to happen once. Which is my suspicion. Actually, this was a good point, and it didn't occur to me that because it was past Uni experiencing this, future Uni would know everything no matter what. So the swap may have only happened just once for them, which leads me to believe Uni did it on purpose, or could only do it once. Wait a minute. Wait. New theory. Uni somehow figured out how to travel back in time, but he had to swap with his old self to do it. So he swapped with himself right after the crash. In somehow doing this, in somehow traveling back in time, it caused the personality exchange between Satoru and Kokoro. He didn't expect this. Somehow, that ended up happening. It doesn't explain everything, But it explains why the event is happening, and even it was probably an accident or a side effect that he wasn't aware of. And that would explain why Uni was so scared and closed off when we first found him at Sphia. Because, you know, disorienting. Tiny bit. It doesn't explain everything. There are a couple of mysteries still, but I like this theory. However, at the same time, I don't know what time periods between Sphia and the shelter cabin were different, so that deduction was abandoned. But, in regards to Uni, when considering the difference in time periods, thought the complexity to entangled thread had more or less began to unwind. Putting aside the radio and newspaper for now, you can guess the year from people's testimonies. As Sphia, the ones who said the year 2011 were Tori and Uni. However, it feels like I can discard these two testimonies. Tori and Ibushi Keiko is DID, so it's possible she isn't aware what year it is. After all, there's even a child's personality dwelling inside her. It wouldn't be odd for her sense of what year it is to be off. Which is fair, I suppose. And then there's Uni. From the conversation with him before, I can't think of any other explanation than him transferring here from the accident, and therefore his statement about what year 2011 is a given. Statements from Sentaru Natsumi that this is the year 2012 are correct. If you exclude the radio broadcast and being 2011, and newspaper that had information about the future written on it, in the world of Sphia, it's 2012. For the world of Shelter Cabin, it's 2011, is what it means. Sentaru and I are under the assumption that our two personalities are jumping through time and space for exchange. On top of that, my Uni's personality be exchanging as well. Unlike us, the 2012 Uni and the Uni from right after the plane crash are being exchanged, switching back and forth in the same body of Kusuda Uni. Huh? This just got a whole lot more confusing. I need to sort things out. Let's try to trace Uni's movements. First off, Uni was caught in the airplane crash on January 11, 2011. However, I don't know when, but he was saved somewhere. What was the cause and effect that brought the rescued Uni to Sphia? And passing through into the year 2012? And this is where it gets complicated. But the future Uni at Sphia at 2012 and the past Uni that survived the plane crash in 2011 are switching between one another. Wait. Okay, so the newspaper existing would be explained by future Uni bringing it with him. Everybody else at Sphia knew about the crash and what happened already, which means the newspaper was probably there for whatever reason. They might have given it to them because Utsumi's husband was in the crash or something. So that's easily explained away why the paper was there, even though they shouldn't have outside contact. But something just occurred to me. There are only 3 deaths in that paper. Uni was never found. I don't think Uni was supposed to be at that cabin. So in swapping to the past, did future Uni somehow save his own life? Possibly. Possibly. But then how could he... No, that doesn't make any sense. He couldn't have saved his own life. Something would have happened to make future Uni. And why did future Uni end up at Sphia? Let's keep going. The survived plane crash in 2011 are switching between one another. Right now, the Uni at Sphia in the year 2012 is the Uni immediately following the plane crash, and the Uni in the shelter cabin right now can be otherwise referred to as future Uni. But wait a second, our personalities have exchanged a number of times already. Why has Uni only transferred once? No, I don't know yet if that was only once. However, it didn't appear that personality exchange happened very frequently. That's true. I'm making an assumption it only happened once because it's consistent with my theory, but it is possible that it happened multiple times. But I think it was a complete physical transfer. I think physically we're dealing with 2011 Uni here, and physically we're dealing with 2012 Uni there. And so if I am right, then the transfer probably only happened once, hence the newspaper. I still don't have a very good grasp on the rules of personality exchange. What an irritating feeling. This is probably what they call the feeling of chewing on sand. However, even though I don't know the rules of personality exchange, there's one thing I do know. Thinking that it's the year 12 at Sphia and 11 at the shelter cabin would be best. The contradiction from newspaper and radio is yet to be settled. Wait! It wouldn't... Oh no! They said they were switching over to digital from radio, so somehow... Past Uni had the radio, didn't he? Past Uni had the radio when they swapped. I think. That would explain why the radio's here, and apparently getting signals from 2011, even though it doesn't make any sense with how radios work, but I'm assuming that's just how they're going to explain it. Anyway. Okay. So, the more things my theory explains, the better. So with that decided, what should I do now? I should ask Uni first. So I had to ask whether he was a future Uni that had transferred there once and I had got back to Shell Cabin. Swap. Use your voice recorder and go over your whole theory, the beginning of ego collapse. Next day I was standing in the snowfield. The snow reflected in the setting sun, dazzling my eyes. My shoulders heaved as I drew breath, as though I'd been exercising strenuously. My exhalations hung in the air, white clouds that almost looked as though I could reach out and grab them. What happened? Satoru, what did you do? Uni screamed out, sounding frightened. He was running as if to flee the shelter cabin, heading for a grove of trees. Oh no, Satoru did put it together, and now he's trying to hurt future Uni? Uni! Surprised at seeing him in this unusual state, I started to run after him. What happened? Uni! Uni, wait! It was hard to run in that snow. My feet sank another 30 centimeters in snow with every step. Gradually, I began to feel my strength depleting. Wait! Following the footprints he left, I pressed on. Having reached the grove of trees, Uni slipped in the snow and fell. He smacked his head on a tree root that had been hidden under snow. Oh no! Uni, are you alright? I caught up with Uni. I helped Uni, his body half covered in snow, stand up. It hurts! It hurts! He rubbed his forehead. It seemed he hit it when he fell down. You have a look at that. Uni had gotten back to his feet, but his hair was sticking out every which way. I gently brushed the snow clean to him. There was no injury on his forehead. You wouldn't see it unless you looked closely, but there's an old scar there. He hadn't gotten that just now, did he? No, that's an old scar from the plane crash. Again, supporting my theory that this is a full physical transfer and not just personality. It's okay, you're not bleeding. But it hurts. His eyes were filling with tears as he tried to withstand the pain. Really, you're a boy, aren't you? Come on, don't cry. But... come on, there's no helping it. I gave Uni a little kiss on the forehead. Pain, pain, fly away to Andromeda. Like, the galaxy? The Andromeda Galaxy? A galaxy approximately 2,500,000 light-years from Earth. A spiral galaxy in the shape of an elliptical coil. Greek mythology, Andromeda was the name of the Ethiopian princess. Her mother, Cassiopeia, bragged that she was more beautiful than the sea nymphs known as the Nereids. The sea god, Poseidon, who had found the Nereids, was angered by her words and sent a sea monster to lay waste to the coast of her kingdom. The king went to consult an oracle for help. The oracle told him that only sacrificing Andromeda would return peace to the kingdom. Boys can cry, Kokoro, shut up. Yes, yeah, I didn't mention anything because she's just trying to be helpful. Andromeda was changed to a rock and left as a sacrifice for the monster. At the time, Perseus, carrying the freshly severed head of the Medusa in his sack, was hoping to come along. Uncovering the head before the monster's eyes, Perseus turned it to stone. Perseus then took Andromeda as his wife. When Andromeda died, she was placed among the stars, became a constellation aside her husband Perseus, her father, Cepheus, her mother, Cassiopeia, and the great sea serpent. However, because of Cassiopeia's pride, she was placed in the heavens such that her chair in which she sits appears upside down half the time. Okay, a little bit of Greek mythology there. What the heck is that? Uni smiled shyly. His cheeks were turning red, but I don't think it was because of the setting sun. Don't say such embarrassing things. But hasn't the pain gone away? Yeah. He mumbled it, but I could still hear him softly say that. Thanks, Kokoron. Smiling, I nodded and pulled him back to his feet. Why is it to Andromeda? Because it's more romantic that way. I brushed the snow from his clothes. As though to confirm something, Uni asked me a question. You're Kokoron now, right? That's right. After hearing that, a somewhat imprudent expression of relief came to Uni's face. By the way, why were you running away? What happened? Because... He hesitated. I don't know why what's so hard for him to say. It's most likely something happened in Shelter Cabin. Just then I heard a scream from the cabin. Hey! What the heck are you doing, Imaizumi? Oi, knock it off! Uh-oh. When I heard the scream, I... Hurry back to the cabin! We looked at each other. Let's go back to the cabin. Yeah. Following the trail of footprints we left, we head back to the cabin. I thought Uni was running away from Satoru, but he might have been running from Mayuzumi. When I saw we returned to the shelter cabin, took my breath away. A dreadful scene had unfolded there. Something dark red was smeared around the edges of Mayuzumi's mouth, and beside her, Yomogi had fallen on the floor. Stains around Mayuzumi's mouth were blood? No, she couldn't have. To Yomogi-san? To answer my question, Mayuzumi looked around the edges of her mouth. With maddened eyes, she looked at me and looked to me like those of a wounded beast. Such a thing. No. People who were stranded after an accident and ran out of provisions, they fall to a horrible state like this. A horrifying thought became lodged in my mind. So, fun fact about me. You know the Donner Party? The Donner Party who are famous for trying to make their way, you know, in old times in the US. Famous for the fact that they resorted to cannibalism. I once had an English project. Every single person in the class was assigned a person from the Donner Party. We were to research a Donner Party, research that person, and write about what happened from that person's perspective. I don't remember who specifically I was assigned, but it was one of the first people to die. So I had a very short assignment, but it worked for me. But the thing is, you still had to read a lot about the Donner Party, and we learned a lot about what happened with them. Speaking of cannibals, fun fact about me. Maybe I should have put that a different way. Entirely possible. But yes, so I did extensive research on the Donner Party when I was younger. Way back in high school. I don't remember most of it. I remember some of the... There are certain things that stick out in my mind, though. Like, did you know that there were several members of the Donner Party that ended up dying when they got back to civilization because they overate? The thing is, they'd gone so long without proper food and ate only sparingly other people that when they got back, they were like, let's get them a feast! They're probably starving! And it ended up killing several, I think 2 members of the Donner Party. Trust me, there are other stories about the Donner Party that are worse, and also tragic and terrible. You don't want me to tell them. I'm really here for the out-of-context quotes. Really, I only have like 2 good ones, and those are it. It actually happened with a lot of Holocaust survivors too, Trila. I didn't know that. I didn't know that happened with a lot of Holocaust survivors. But if you ever find yourself in a situation of extreme starvation, don't have a feast as soon as you're safe. Eat sparingly, enough to be satisfied, and that's it. And be very careful feeding them because their stomach couldn't handle food. Yeah. And not even until you're satisfied, because your stomach can't handle food very well at all. You might have to eat only a little bit. It is super sad. The human body is a complicated thing. Before such a scene of shattered human dignity, my lips began to tremble. But I'm fine. I didn't think she actually tried to take a bite out of him. Mogi slowly picked himself off the floor. In my relief, my legs lost my strength and I dropped to the floor on my knees. Ah, thank goodness. What goodness? What happened? That woman, she ate all the chocolate herself. I took my eyes off her for a moment and she stole it right out of my bag. When I confronted her about it, she pushed me down like this. Shit. Mogi stood and dusted off his knees, scowling at Mayuzumi. He drew closer to Mayuzumi. I don't know why you could do such a thing. That's everyone's food, isn't it? I was just thinking, if only you all weren't here, you wouldn't need it. So those dark red stains around her mouth, they were chocolate. She wiped them off with one finger and then licked it clean. That's not how it is at all. You're just putting on an act to try and sabotage us all? Sabotage? Unless we all cooperate, none of us will survive, you know? Why would you do such a selfish thing? Mayuzumi turned toward me with an insolent smile, as though she were trying to start a fight. Why? Don't you know perfectly well why? It's simple arithmetic. With only this one last chocolate bar, we won't survive if we divide it up equally. But if I eat it myself, I can go on living. Just me. So I ate it. We decided together, right? Well, Yamogi-san managed the professions. You have this much confidence in that old fart? I knew it. I know it. When the going gets tough, this teaser is going to abandon all of us. What the hell do you think you're saying? I saw it myself when the plane crashed. You before you found me. You also found another person who was still breathing, didn't you? But you abandoned them. Even though you were still alive, you didn't even try to help them. Isn't that right? Mogi took a long, deep breath. When he finally spoke, his voice was filled with pain. His face darkened by 4 days' worth of stubble, distorted in anguish. That's right, but there was shrapnel from the plane sticking out of that sturt person's chest. I didn't think there was anything I could do for them. Look, just look at this. Maizumi thrust her finger at Yomogi as though in triumph. This bastard didn't think there's anything he'd do to that person. He simply threw them away. Don't you think it's idiotic to let a bastard like him be in charge of the food? We're all weaker than he is. He'll get rid of us just as easily. I could feel my own voice turning shaky with rage. My nails dug painfully in the palms of my hands, and I dug them in harder and yelled out. Mogi-san even saved you, didn't he? Even when he saved you, how could you say such horrible things about him? Huh, I thought you'd say that. Just because you saved me, I have to listen to everything he says? I'm not just screwing around here. Certainly Yomogi-san did rescue me, but that's all. He has no right to order me around, the me here that's here today. Put her off the cabin, getting tired of her shit. It's completely understandable to me how she's reacting. Let's be perfectly honest here. This is a shit situation. It takes a lot of willpower to remain positive and to not be suspicious and fall to the same things she's doing. It sucks, and it really actively harms your chances for survival overall as a group, but it's understandable. As for a solution to this, like if you were in a situation and somebody was acting like her, what you would do? Oof. I don't think I have an answer to that. But you got to keep her alive just like everyone else. Otherwise, all you do is prove her paranoia right, and that's the last thing you want to do. Because that just causes more problems down the road. Sacrifice one person, and then everybody else is going to think they're next. And then the paranoia spreads like a disease. Have you no gratitude at all toward him? Of course I'm grateful. If we make it out here alive, I'll even let him do it with me once. But in order for that to happen, I have to get back home alive first, you know. Don't fuck with me! My anger, I lost control and struck out at Mayuzumi. Staggering, Mayuzumi crashed into the wall. What the hell do you think you're doing? Mayuzumi got back on her feet and grabbed me. Sharp pain raced through my body as she pulled my hair. You know, I hate naive little princesses like you more than anything in the world. Never knowing hardship,